What if I told you that the biggest thing sabotaging your manifestations is something you don't even notice? It's not lack of faith, it's not doubt, it's something that seems so small, but it eats away at everything from the inside. And the worst part? It hides behind positive thinking. You repeat affirmations every day, visualize with intention, try to keep your energy high, and still, nothing changes. Ever felt that way? Feels unfair, doesn't it? The truth is there's a sneaky, silent mistake that's been killing your manifestations without you even realizing it. And it usually shows up right when you think you're doing everything right. You could be doing it right now without even noticing. And as long as it feels normal, your life will keep looking the same, no matter how much you try. It doesn't make noise. It doesn't warn you. It simply pushes your results further away, quietly. Most people believe manifestation is about effort, positive thinking, or getting your energy aligned. But what almost no one realizes is that even with all of that, one tiny internal detail, almost invisible, can block the whole thing. Have you ever stopped to think that maybe it's not what you feel occasionally that shapes your reality, but what you feel without even noticing all the time? It's no use practicing the law of assumption if you're stuck in this trap. And that's exactly what separates people who manifest with ease from those who live in that never-ending almost. What's holding you back isn't what you think it is, but once you see it clearly, something inside you will shift for good. Get ready, because in this content you'll finally understand why even believing that imagination creates reality, your life still hasn't changed. You'll discover where that inner inconsistency is, the one silently sabotaging your results. And best of all, you'll see how to fix it for real, with clarity, simplicity, and truth. But before we dive in, a sincere warning. Once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. There are people out there looking at life saying, "I don't know what I'm doing wrong, I'm visualizing, affirming, feeling," yet they're still stuck. And that's where most people miss it. The mistake doesn't scream, it lives in the small stuff. In that innocent little thought that carries a hidden, "but what if it doesn't happen?" In the automatic reaction of doubt that you don't even notice anymore. And in that unconscious loop, this silent manifestation error settles in, the very one Neville Goddard used to warn about even without giving it a name. This kind of mistake is tricky because it dresses up as mental self-care. It's like you're doing everything right, but deep down you're carrying contradictory thoughts all the time. You say, "Imagination creates reality," but secretly you're still waiting for an external sign before you truly believe. It's like staring at the ground, hoping a flower will bloom through the concrete, without even planting the seed. And if you don't feel the truth of what you affirm in your body, then really you're just throwing hope into the dark, a quiet little play of almost faith. Want a practical example? You know that habit of checking your bank account right after saying affirmations about abundance? Seems harmless, but it's exactly the kind of environmental influence and belief conditioning that kills the invisible process. Someone claims to trust the law of assumption, but their actions show they're expecting disappointment. And when your bodily sensation doesn't match the image in your mind, it all becomes just nice theory. This kind of inconsistency doesn't shout, but it quietly erodes any chance of real manifestation. What trips up most people who study Neville Goddard, without even realizing it, is that emotional seesaw between "I believe" and "but what if it doesn't?" One day they're pumped up, fully feeling the end result, and the next they're scrolling through the 3D reality, looking for proof. It feels normal, but it creates a brutal inner inconsistency. And the thing is, the universe doesn't respond to what you want once in a while. It responds to who you are consistently. That emotional roller coaster doesn't just feel exhausting, it's what scatters the power of assumption. It's like trying to light a fire with a damp matchbox. You strike it, get a small flame, then it fizzles out. Try again, maybe this time. But then the wind of doubt blows it out again. And every time you almost feel it, then second guess it, you're sending the message to the quantum field. "I don't know who I am." That's the core of the almost belief block. Your inner identity doesn't match the end you want. And without a firm sense of identity, there's no way to live in the end. Because feeling is the secret, not just thinking about feeling. Here's a classic example. Someone hears "live in the end," gets excited, closes their eyes, visualizes, smiles. 10 minutes later, they open a WhatsApp group. Someone complains about life and they reply, "Yeah, times are tough." Boom, back to the old state. That's why, more than techniques, you need to trust the feeling. Get out of your head and let your body become home to your new reality. And that takes attention. real attention to how you truly feel, because it's in that consistent feeling that your silent power lives. There's something even worse than doubt, thinking you believe, but only halfway. That place is dangerous, because it fools you. You tell yourself, I feel it's going to happen, but deep down there's a, what if it doesn't? That's the zone of almost believing, almost feeling, almost living the end. But the silent manifestation error lives right there, in that space between wanting and being. And as long as you're stuck in that in-between, the miracle can't take root. It's like standing with one foot in the boat and one foot on the dock. You swear you're moving forward, but you never let go of the past. And the worst part? That almost looks spiritual. It looks like faith, but it's not. It's disguised neediness. The truth is, almost is one of the most dangerous contradictory thoughts you can have. It doesn't shout. It just keeps the energy grid locked down, because the universe doesn't hear your words. It reads your frequency. And as long as you're vibrating, I'm almost there, reality understands. Not yet. Want to escape that trap? The practice is simple, but it takes courage. Decide to live as if it were already real, not when everything's perfect, now. Act like it's already done and watch how your body reacts. Does fear show up? Good. That means you've hit the edge. Now step through, and even if it feels awkward at first, stay there, inside the silence before the manifestation. Because it's only beyond the almost that the law of assumption really starts to work in your favor. Gratitude, when it's real, is one of the most powerful energies there is. But here's a subtle and dangerous detail no one talks about. Being grateful for something you haven't fully assumed as real can actually backfire. It's when someone keeps repeating, "Thank you, universe," trying to force faith. But deep down, they're still begging for change. This forced gratitude without a solid inner root exposes the silent manifestation error. Instead of expressing fullness, it actually confirms lack. It's like smiling in a photo while you're falling apart inside. When you truly feel something, you don't need to fake gratitude. It just overflows. When Neville talked about living in the end, he wasn't talking about writing a list of thank yous in your journal. He meant being grateful because it already is, not to make it happen. Gratitude without bodily sensation in imagination becomes theater, and mental theater doesn't manifest anything. The universe responds to what's felt, not what's repeated. Want a quick test? Close your eyes. Imagine what you desire. Now ask yourself, if this were real right now, how would my body feel? If your body responds with peace, relief, or even tears, you're in the state. Now it's time to feel grateful. But if what comes up is anxiety, neediness, or rush, be careful. Gratitude without truly assuming the end is like applauding before the show even starts. And that only confirms the not yet. It's in this invisible space that many manifestations quietly die before they're ever born. You can spend all day visualizing, affirming, and feeling, but just 15 minutes around a negative person, and poof, it all goes down the drain. Your environment speaks to your subconscious all the time. And if you're surrounded by people saying things like, "This stuff doesn't work, get real," or "Life's not that easy," your inner field starts to hesitate. That hesitation is the start of inner inconsistency. It might feel like just someone's opinion, but it's not. It's an invisible virus slowly dimming the light of your conviction. Neville Goddard said the outer world reflects the inner, but he also understood that your environment can reshape what you feel inside, especially if you're not fully grounded. A sarcastic comment, a dismissive laugh, a harmless joke about your dreams, they all leave a mark. And if your imagination isn't backed by real physical feeling, you'll start making choices based on other people's doubts. And just like that, you're back in the cycle of almost belief and inner conflict. Want a practical tip? Stop sharing your plans with everyone. Protect your new identity, talk less, feel more. Swap your late-night drama shows for a Neville lecture before bed. Shift your environment. And if you can't change your outer world yet, change how you respond to it. Surround yourself with voices that reinforce your assumption, not tear it down. Because in the end, the voices you hear the most shape what you truly believe. Imagine building a house on quicksand. Beautiful on the outside, but unstable underneath. That's exactly what happens when you affirm "I'm abundant," and then immediately think, "I hope I have enough money this month." One cancels the other. This is the root of the silent manifestation error. Contradictory thoughts don't scream. They quietly dissolve everything you're trying to create. And the worst part? Most people don't even know they're living in this kind of internal conflict every day. You say you believe in the law of assumption, but when you see someone else getting what you want, you feel envy or doubt. Know what that reveals? You haven't truly assumed the end, because if you had, someone else's success would feel like confirmation. If it happened for them, it can happen for me too. But if the feeling is separation, the field responds with lack. That's how environmental influences and old beliefs start dictating your vibration again. And as long as you're out of alignment inside, there's no solid ground for your manifestation to take hold. Want to fix this? Try a little mental cleanup. Grab a notebook and write, "What do I say I believe?" Then write, "What do I actually feel when I think about that?" Compare your answers. If there's a gap, that's where the block is. Real manifestation comes from inner emotional coherence, when your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs move in the same direction. Any crack between them opens the door to frustration, and a lot of times that crack is so subtle, you'll only notice it when your body doesn't go along with your words. It's easy to imagine your ideal scenario, much harder to actually feel it in your body, as if it's real. Most people don't even realize they're just playing pretend in their minds. They close their eyes, picture the dream house, the perfect relationship, the full bank account, but their body is still tense, anxious, disconnected. And here's the thing, without bodily sensation in the imagination, your brain reads it as fantasy. And fantasies don't shape the world, they just kill time. Neville Goddard used to say, "You must feel the wish fulfilled." That's not a metaphor, it's biology. Your body needs to experience the emotion of the end before the end arrives. Otherwise, the quantum field won't register your command. Here's a trick. When you're visualizing, notice, does your heart slow down or speed up? Do your shoulders relax or stay stiff? Does your face soften? Your body's reaction is the real gauge. When the mental image and the physical sensation line up, you enter a genuine creative state. But if your body doesn't shift, that means there's still inner conflict, even if your mind is repeating, "I believe." Want a powerful practice? Pick a desire that feels possible but exciting, something simple. Visualize it and stay with the feeling until your body responds, until it believes it's real. This will strengthen your capacity to hold even bigger states. Because feeling is the secret, not just imagining. Imagination only becomes creative when the body joins in. This is one of the most common and most dangerous mistakes. You do the affirmations, you visualize, you feel, but then a few minutes later, you're checking your bank app or your phone to see if anything has changed. That anxiety for proof from the outside weakens the entire field you've just created. It's like planting a seed and digging it up every hour to see if it sprouted. When you rely only on what you see, you're telling the universe, "I don't trust what I feel." And just like that, manifestation gone. The secret is learning to trust the feeling as if it's the only proof you need. The law of assumption doesn't operate by logic. It works through energetic certainty, and certainty doesn't need evidence. One of the biggest challenges is holding steady between the feeling and the seeing. That's why Neville Goddard talks so much about living in the end. The end doesn't ask for a sign. The end is the sign. If you're still waiting for proof from the 3D, you haven't truly assumed the state, and that creates an endless loop of waiting. Here's a direct example. If you imagine yourself healthy but you keep checking for symptoms every hour, you're still vibrating illness. If you feel wealthy but check your account balance every day in fear, you're still vibrating lack. The field responds to where your attention lives, not just your intention. That's why ignoring the outside world is a spiritual discipline. Real faith is deaf to circumstances, and those who learn to rest in that silence begin to reshape the very fabric of reality. There's a moment in the manifestation process that can scare even those who already understand the law of assumption, the silence. That space where nothing seems to be happening, no signs, no shifts, no messages, and that's the exact moment when most people give up, thinking they failed. But that silence is sacred. It's where the new reality starts to rearrange itself behind the scenes. If you don't understand this, you'll panic, fall back into your old state, and undo everything you were building in the invisible. Think about a pregnancy. The baby grows in silence. You don't see it, but everything is taking shape. Nature is wise. Every creation needs an incubation period. The same goes for manifestation. That silence isn't the absence of results. It is the result being processed. The problem is, during that stillness, contradictory thoughts come rushing in. The rational mind demands answers, and the body, if not anchored in felt imagination, begins to doubt what once felt so certain. That's when trusting the feeling becomes an act of bravery. You take a breath, look around and see no change, and say, "Even so, I know it's already done." This is where many lose their way. But the ones who remain steady in the silence reach a level of power that few ever experience. Because when the external world goes quiet, it means your imagination is speaking louder, and that can only lead to one thing. The solution isn't about doing more, it's about holding it better. The real breakthrough happens when you turn assumption into a daily inner habit, as natural as brushing your teeth. It's not about repeating affirmations all day long, it's about keeping your body anchored in the end, with real sensation. Yes, it takes practice, but not effort. Effort only shows up when there's still resistance. When your belief is aligned, the practice becomes enjoyable, almost inevitable. The first step is to identify your silent manifestation error. It could be a mental reflex, a recurring emotional reaction, or even an innocent phrase you say all the time. Instead of trying to fight or suppress it, just replace it, gently but firmly, and begin protecting that new state like you would a rare seed. Here's a good exercise. Pick a state you want to live in and ask yourself, what would this version of me do today? Then act from that place. Not like a role, but like an identity you've already claimed. The key is in repeating the feeling, not the technique. The more you repeat the emotion of the end, the more your body starts to accept it as your new normal. And once your body accepts it, reality follows. Because imagination creates reality, but only when the feeling is steady. So instead of waiting for the world to change the world inside you and hold it. Because the universe doesn't respond to fleeting intentions, it responds to what you've chosen to be every single day. Now tell me, how many times have you caught yourself almost believing, waiting for a sign, or trying to force gratitude? How many times has your mind been in one place and your body somewhere else? The good news is, you can shift that right now. It starts with a quiet, powerful commitment to truly feel with consistency, no longer searching for outer proof, but living in the end from within. Are you willing to review your thoughts, your inner language, your physical sensations? Are you ready to fully assume that what you desire is already yours? Because what separates you from your manifestation isn't time, it's your state. And if you've made it this far, you're already one step closer to something new. But that next step requires action, a decision, the kind of faith that doesn't wait, it becomes. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these silent errors hit home the most? Which one are you ready to let go of today? Drop it in the comments. Your journey might inspire someone else. And if this message spoke to you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because here, you'll keep learning how to shape reality from the inside out. Just like Neville taught, and just like your soul has always known.